Let's bring in our legal and political experts. Norm Eisen, I'll start with you. As we learn more about Murdoch's bombshell deposition, just how strong is Dominion's $1.6 billion case against Fox?
Wolf, I think it's strong. The Constitution protects speech. We need that for the press, but there are limits. If you put on news when you know it's false or you're behaving recklessly, you can be held liable. And by admitting that Fox didn't just report, they endorsed, Murdoch has helped Dominion make its case. And it's not just 1.6 billion, Wolf. That's just the lost profits and the enterprise value that's lost. That could be multiplied several times over for punitive damages. That's a possibility.
Adam Kinzinger, do you, as a Republican who challenged all those election lies, feel vindicated by Murdoch's own admissions in this deposition?
Well, it's, I guess, vindicated to an extent, but I'm just even more disappointed because I know this is not going to affect viewership of Fox. A lot of these people maybe knew that they were being lied to, but it made them feel good. And, you know, look, we as Americans have got to sit back and say, is there a limit to getting on television as an authority and making a complete and utter lie that not only could lead to violence, did lead to violence? Look, Wolf, Ashley Babbitt, who was killed at the Capitol, never would have been there had these lies not been repeatedly said over and over. The law enforcement officers that were injured or those that took their own lives, they never would have had to engage in that had these lies not gone over and over. This is the equivalent I've heard people compare to like when Big Tobacco admitted, secretly that they knew this was killing people. This is the equivalent of that. Eventually people will listen. I hope it's soon.
Let me bring Maggie Haberman into this conversation. Maggie, as you know, this raises some serious questions about Fox's role as a media organization, especially as the next presidential election approaches. Do you think there will be, or should be, for that matter, consequences in terms of Fox's journalistic access?
I mean, I think the range of what consequences mean, Wolf, depends on who is doing the evaluating here. I think in the eyes of Dominion, they obviously would like to see a lawsuit settled in their favor, but there is no, as you know, sort of grander hand that can arbitrate how Fox conducts itself. But to your question, in terms of how it conducted itself, it is not normal for a news outlet to put out information that it clearly believes to be false. And so even if they want to suggest, well, these are opinion folks, that is going to raise all kinds of questions that this is now in this deposition, and it sounds like in other aspects of this lawsuit, that they have information, Dominion folks have information, that Fox, officials and Rupert Murdoch were questioning, more than questioning, did not believe the veracity of this information. There's a bit in the suit about Murdoch saying that Sean Hannity had been privately disgusted with Trump for weeks, but was going ahead with this anyway. That is going to raise all kinds of questions going forward. Is it going to change how Fox operates? I think certainly not while this lawsuit's going on, because that could become a problem in their lawsuit. But whether it does after that remains to be seen.
Adam, let me turn to the Speaker, Kevin McCarthy's decision to give Fox host Tucker Carlson early access to the Capitol security footage he is releasing involving the January 6th defendants. Let's listen to the Speaker's explanation. Listen to this.
We're not all concerned about the fact that Carlson may downplay this attack. Look, you thought it was a very serious attack.
It's a very serious attack.
And why give it to someone who is downplayed?
Because I think sunshine matters. So I don't care what side of the issue you are on. That's why I think putting it out all to the American public, you can see the truth, see exactly what transpired that day.
So how could McCarthy say this is about transparency, Adam, when so far he's only giving access to Tucker Carlson and the January 6th defendants who've been charged?
I mean, look, Kevin McCarthy is doing the best he can to spin his decision. When he says, I don't care what side of this issue you're on, you probably should care because you're the speaker of an institution that was attacked. Secondarily, you think it's sunshine to give it. It's even one thing if he gave it to Fox News writ large. He gave it to Tucker Carlson, who had recently, or I think within the last year, put out a video basically saying that the government did this and all these rioters are heroes. Kevin McCarthy has confused me probably more than anybody I've known in my life. He used to be somebody I thought was very, very much committed to what his truth was, what he believed. He has completely shed that for power. It's disturbing. And frankly, other news agencies ought to have the exact same stuff that he gave to Tucker friggin' Carlson, who's the biggest conspiracy theorist out there.
Norm, how will McCarthy's decision to give the accused rioters access to this footage impact the legal process here?
It will enable the lawyers for the accused rioters to say they have a new source of information. They need more time. They already have an enormous amount of this information, Wolf, and I'm concerned about the security aspects of both the Tucker Carlson and the other selective releases of this. There's a reason that some of this footage has not been seen before, because it reveals sensitive security information about the Congress. So it's a bad decision. It has legal implications and ethical ones. I think it's wrong.
Maggie, what will the political fallout be from McCarthy's decision about this footage?
I think it's too soon to say, Wolf, because we don't know what's going to be shown and what's on there. I agree with the congressman that if he was interested in sunshine, he would just put this on a website and then people could evaluate it for themselves. It wouldn't be through a filter when he derides filters when it's other news outlets. It would just be up there. I think it depends on what's on it, and I think it depends on what the reactions are. I think there are very few people in this country who don't have an opinion already of what took place on January 6th, but I think McCarthy is very focused on protecting his speakership, and he believes that this helps him with that.